This is Amit. So today I'm talking about exposure to airborne pollutants and health risk assessment. So under the theme, today's theme, airborne pollutants, the enemy to air quality. So before starting, let's introduce about the organization. WRA India is a research organization working to improve people's lives, protect nature, and halt climate change. So as an independent research organization, we leverage our data and expertise to inform policy and catalyze change across systems like food, land, water, energy, and cities. We enable change at the pace and scale needed. We also work to shift the economic, finance, and governance structure that shape people's decision and behavior. So to start with the topic, why do airborne pollutants matter? So exposure to airborne pollutants is dangerous because they cause a variety of short-term and long-term health impacts, not only to children or elderly, also as well as the healthy individuals. So as per the United Nations Environmental Agency in 2024, see the airborne pollutants are reported to be responsible for about 1/3 of deaths from stroke, chronic respiratory diseases, and lung cancer, as well as 1/4 of deaths from heart attacks. So these pollutants can be in the form of particulate matter, gases, and bioaerosols. So examples of airborne pollutants include particulate matter, carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxide, sulfur dioxide, volatile organic compounds, ozone, bacteria, fungi, as well as viruses. So the airborne pollutants can be contributed from various sources, including the natural sources, mobile sources, stationary sources as the primary pollutant. And then after the chemical reaction with uh, the other pollutants in the presence of sunlight, they also form the secondary pollutants that can be much more harmful as compared to the primary pollutants. So there can be outdoor sources as well as indoor sources. The outdoor sources such as transportation, automobile, the open burning of waste, construction activities, industrial activities are the major pollution sources. And indoor sources can vary from the combustion from the kitchens, smoking, dusting, wall painting, perfumes, and any scented products. So when we talk about how airborne exposure, enter in the human body. So once we expose to the airborne pollutants, we inhale it either through nasal, our nose, or oral through mouth, or it can be combination of nasal and oral. We say or naso-oral. So then they transport and then deposited in the various section. Again, nasal section, trachea bronchial, and alveoli part. And some of the pollutants also particles also get clearance when we cough, we sneeze, we talk, or we do any kind of excessive ex activity. So the aerosols inhalation, the mechanism follows the particle mostly more than 5 micrometer. They track in our upper respiratory tract from our head to our throat. So usually these particles always come back, always they get clearance because these particles during when we cough, we sneeze or any activity, and they don't enter into the deep lung system. But the particles which are less than 5 micrometers, specifically 2 to 5 micrometer, some of the particles of this also come back, and while when they reach the terminal this trachea part, then they deposit inside the terminal trachea part. And the particle even lower than the size, less than 2 micrometer or 2.5 micrometer, they deposit in pulmonary region and they never come back. So that's how this is the most important to study the particles less than 2.5 micrometer when we talk about the exposure and deposition in the lung system. So there can be the various factors that influence this deposition or the exposure pathway. They can be breathing route, exposure concentration, duration of exposure, activity level. If somebody is sleeping, somebody is talking, somebody is running. So different activities have different impacts. Exposure environment, because there are different environments have different impact on the exposure and the deposition. Gender, age, pre-medical conditions. And other than this, also, if we talk about the thermal environment that we many of time we ignore to study, they also shape the pollution exposure. How, for example, when the temperature is high, it increases the secondary pollutant formation, such as ozone. Higher temperature in indoor spaces increase the VOC volatilization from the walls, paintings, and some other materials that we kept indoors. if we talk about the humidity, high humidity enhances the formation of secondary aerosols such as sulfates and nitrates. And it promote in indoor spaces, it promotes the growth of mold, mildew, bacteria, dust mites. And we talk about the high airflow. Helps to promote the dilution and dispersion of pollutants. However, if the airflow is very slow or stagnant, it leads to accumulation and trapping and raising the exposure levels. So also high airflow can cause resuspended of road dust, but in indoor it can steer the particles that are indoor. So then if we talk about the health impacts, the air pollutants impact all and every organ of our human body, from our brain, eye, liver, stomach, kidney, and bone, to each and every part of the body. So these health impacts can be different to different people, even they exposed to children, and even the premature birth, when low weight birth, and some to pregnant women and to healthy adults. So their impacts vary from to different people, but they impact to everybody. So when we talk about the targeting the invisible threat, that how WRE India's effort is making effort to combat community exposure under accelerator for cleaner actions. So we are working to combat open waste burning. So then sustainable clean transition fuel of bakeries, clean construction practices. So Narang sir is here, so he is also helping to do this work. Road dust mitigation, personal exposure study, and transport emission reduction. So we are working on these right now sectors in WRA that are helping to reduce the community exposure under the ACAS project. So other than this, I have presented here two case studies from my own work, where one is the assessment of exposure that was conducted inside the metro stations in Chennai. So this was conducted inside the metro trains, where the exposure was started from the above ground metro station and to inside train and then to underground metro station. So, and it was like walking from the entrance of the metro station to the platform, then journey inside the train, and then after reaching to the next destination station, again walking from station to the exit. So what I observed in this study was the concentration of pollutants, especially the particles of less than PM 2.5, was much more higher in underground metro stations. We can see it's reaching almost more than 100 microgram per meter cube, and it was most 5 times higher than the inside train and the above ground metro station, due to the very less ventilation conditions, and also the more accumulation and built up of pollutants inside. So similarly, like I recently explained about the how these particles settle in our lung system. So we found the higher deposition dose inside the in the pulmonary region. So you can see this from graph. The 40 to 50% of particles were depositing in the pulmonary region. So where the males were getting the higher deposition dose as compared to overall dose as compared to females, because of the higher lung capacity and the more surface area. When we talk about the females, the pulmonary deposition was higher in the females as compared to males. So this was interesting insight. The pulmonary deposition was higher inside the female, because of the female usually breathe faster than the males, and due to that, it's sometimes the deposition or become more inside the female lung system. So again, also studied on the bioaerosol pollutants like bacteria and fungi. So we identified the higher bacterial and fungal count inside, again in underground metro station. However, the deposition dose was found to be higher inside the train because of the duration. That's why this all parameters impact a lot. What is the exposure duration or concentration and breathing route, or so they can have a different impact. So then again, the case study two, where recently was published, where we worked on personal exposure of women to PM 2.5 bound pH derivatives from cooking emissions. So it was just study was conducted in Telangana, where the woman exposure was identified where in the different kind of rural kitchen setups. So these are the different kitchen setups, like indoor kitchen without partition, indoor kitchen with partition, separate enclosed kitchen that is outside the home, open kitchen, and open kitchen under staircase. So you can find the indoor kitchens have a higher concentration. However, the concentration of open kitchen under staircase was much more higher. Even it was open, but still concentration was much more higher due to the built-up of pollutant in under the staircase. So similarly, the pH concentrations were found like as pH. Why it is important to study pH? Because they are very carcinogenic, mutagenic. They are genotoxic. You know, they alter the DNA system of the human body. So, and they're much more harmful as compared to simply PM 2.5. So here we found the again, similarly, the concentration of pH was also similarly high in open kitchen under staircase, and the excess cancer risk was found to be higher. This is just TEF, PEF, RPF are different methods of evaluation, and this was found much higher in open kitchen under the staircase. Similarly, the biomass we can see have the higher excess cancer risk as compared to LPG, as the LPG is a cleaner fuel. So this also recommended to promote the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwal Yojana, where we are also trying to target the 100% penetration of LPG by 2030 as per the SDG goals. So, and at the end, in general, just I represented that many times we talk about outdoor air quality and solutions are very simple. Just when we want to solve the problem, like in outdoor, we can promote using the cleaner fuel, employing more efficient combustion technologies, minimize the use of private vehicles, and adopting public transit, end-to-end pavement and using of green infrastructure in shoulders and curb areas, use of clean construction practices, and avoiding open waste burning. Nowadays, open waste burning has become one of the potential source of emission in many of the cities due to the mismanagement of solid waste. And however, the management of indoor air pollution is very easy and in our hand. Many times outdoor air pollution we can't manage because of so many things are involved, some regulatory agencies or many other agencies are involved. But indoor pollution that we can do, obviously identifying the source is one of the difficult tasks, but the minimum hygiene that we can maintain is use of cleaner fuels, improved cookstoves, using low VOC building materials, always ventilate your homes, either naturally or mechanically, improve internal hygiene, regularly service of your air conditioners, and limit the use of air freshener, incense sticks, and any type of scented goods. So before, that's all from my side.